Let's begin by offering our respects to the founder Acharya of ISKCON, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
No, no, eso es bueno, por eso digo yo viendo el 28 por lo menos te dije.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai Krishna.
Om Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Vishatarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Taruvyascha Kripa Sindhu Vya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Please repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Okay, so we welcome all of you to our weekly Bhagavad Gita classes. We have with us here Auntie Neeta, then we have Ritu Lalwani, Meena Bharwani, we have Lavina, Shivani, Disha Jadwani, Divya Budrani, then we have Jagruti Kosaraju, Kalpana Hevlekar, Lal and Mehak Milwani, Bhumika, Manju, N.C. Venkatchari Prabhu. Then we have Nisha, Pavani, Ranjit Das, Saket, Parsha Mayani, and Venkatesh A. Okay, so what did we see in the previous class? We saw the two shlokas which every Indian knows by memory. Which are they? Yada
Yada hi dharmasya glani. I don't know more. It's not completely.
Yes, please.
Yada Yada hi Dharmasya ग्लानि भवति भारत
Abhyutam.
अभ्युत्थानं धर्मस्य तदात्मान सुजाहम्
Yes.
पवित्राय
Very nice.
साधूनां
Yes.
ये जनाय पर्युपासते.
Now, what is after yada yada hi dharmasya? What is the next shloka that comes, which every Indian knows? Paritranaya.
Sadhuna.
Then
ये जनाय
Sambhavani yuge yuge.
धर्म
संभवामि युगे युगे
संस्थापनार्थं
संभवामि
संभवामि युगे युगे.
yes, very nice. So what do these two shlokas mean? In 4.7, Krishna says that whenever and wherever, when does he come? He comes whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practices. Okay, so where religious practices decline, and when the irreligion is rising predominantly, that's when Krishna descends. Then in 4.8, Krishna talks about how and when he appears. He says that he appears millennium after millennium. So he comes once in the day of Brahma. We have discussed already the lifetime of Brahma. So once in a day of Lord Brahma, Krishna appears. So why does he come? He comes to protect his devotees, Paritranaya Sadhunam. He comes to destroy the demons, Vinashaya cha Dushkritam, and he comes to re-establish the principles of religion, Dharma Sansthapanarthaya. So out of these three, what is the real agenda of Krishna? His real agenda is actually that he's coming to please his devotees, right? He wants to please his devotees. So basically he comes for his devotees, because killing the demons and re-establishing Dharma, he can also send his expansion, his agents, right? He can send his messengers like that, but he is coming especially to please his devotees. Okay, and then we discuss the 5 rasas, the 5 transcendental mellows. What are the 5 rasas?
Madhurya rasa.
Yes,
Sakhya rasa.
yes,
Rasa. The one with parental is called as
parental is Vatsalya rasa.
Vatsalya rasa. Then
2 more are left, the first 2.
Madhurya rasa.
Madhurya, Vatsalya, Sakhya, we said. 2 more are left.
Dasya rasa
Dasya ras, very nice. And the first one is
and Shanta rasa.
Shanta
like the
ras.
grass.
Yes, very nice. Okay, so these are the 5 rasas. So Krishna performs pastimes or leelas in all the 5 rasas so as to attract all kinds of devotees, because some devotees connect to Krishna in the Shanta ras, some connect in Vatsalya ras, some in Madhurya ras. So different devotees connect to Krishna differently. In order to attract all categories of devotees, Krishna performs leelas in all 5 rasas. Okay, then we discussed how there are 6 kinds of incarnations. What are the 6 kinds of incarnations? Yes, Purusha avatar, Leela avatar, Gunavatar,
Manavantara
Manvantar avatar,
Yugavatar and
Yugavatar, and
Sakyaveshavatar.
Shaktya avatar. Yes, very nice. So there are different kinds of incarnations, and the Srimad Bhagavatam gives us a description of all these incarnations. Yes. Okay. Then what is the one line that Krishna has repeated twice that we saw in chapter 4? The line that he said in chapter 2 as well as now in chapter 4, he repeated. What was one line? Who remembers? He spoke about overcoming 3 things: Raga, Bhaya, and Krodha. What is Raga, Bhaya, and Krodha? I'm not able to hear clearly. I mean, your voices are kind of breaking. Is it my problem or?
Is it anger? One of them is anger.
Yes, anger is krodha. Then
Krodh.
raga is attachment. And bhaya is
Scared.
fear. Yes. And then we discussed how attachment, fear, and anger can also be spiritual. So we can be attached to Krishna, we can be attached to Krishna's leelas, to his devotees, to the spiritual master. And then, so like this, we can spiritualize attachment. How can we spiritualize fear? By fearing Maya and by fearing a fall down. Because if we fall into Maya, then we are going to have a fall down, spiritual fall down, get into bad habits all over again, and then going back to animalistic way of living. So all that is a fall down. And anger, how do we use anger in the service of the Lord? How do we spiritualize anger? Is when we use the anger in the service of the Lord and his devotees. Just as how Hanuman used anger to burn the whole of Lanka, but it was anger in the service of Lord Sri Ram. Okay, so today we will start section number 2. Who can read?
11.
I can read it.
Okay, thank you, Lavina. So section 2 verses 11 to 15 is titled Krishna is the goal and creator of all paths. So we will discuss how there are so many paths. Yes, there are different ways. Like if we say there is only one God, then why there is not only one path? Why there are so many paths and so many gods, and why so much of confusion? So we will be answering that question today. Today's class is very, very crucial, very, very important. And especially shloka number 11, we are going to take a long time to discuss, and perhaps it probably would be the only shloka we may cover today. Let's see. But very, very important was to understand some concepts that we have been thinking is right, but actually it is not correct if we see Krishna's teaching in the Bhagavad Gita. So today's class is very important. Please pay close attention. So Krishna is the goal and creator of all paths. Dharma leads many paths, but Krishna is the goal and creator of all the paths, is what this is subtitle. Okay, let's hear the shloka.
ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तांस्तथैव भजाम्यहम् मम वर्त्मानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्याः पार्थ सर्वशः.
As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Partha.
So as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So Krishna is saying that how does Krishna reward people, or how does Krishna reward his devotees? It is in proportion to one's surrender. The more we surrender, the more the Lord will reciprocate. So sometimes we see that how come somebody else is advancing more, or we feel that the Lord is favoring so and so more, and the Lord is not favoring me so much. It's not that the Lord is partial. The Lord is impartial. The Lord is impartial. It's just that he is reciprocating in proportion to one's surrender. So when we surrender more, we get more realizations. When we surrender less, then the lesser the realization. So this is one very, very important aspect. And the other thing Krishna is saying here, everyone follows my path in all respects. So does this mean that all paths lead to the same goal? No matter what I do, is the destination going to be the same for everyone? So this is another thing that we are going to discuss. Okay. So first let's discuss, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So first thing here is, Krishna is offering user-friendly spirituality. He is not saying that, no, you have to be at this level and only then you will get my mercy. No, you will get my mercy in proportion to what you surrender. So he's offering, say he's like, okay, he's accepting you at whatever level you are. One may be the most rotten and the most fallen, but even there, Krishna is willing to lift you up from there, right? So he's offering user-friendly spirituality. From our place, Krishna considers no one unqualified, even if they have inadequate spiritual credentials. Everyone can get aboard the boat of spiritual knowledge and take shelter of him. So it's not that only if I have a certain qualification, I can read the Bhagavad Gita. It's not that only if I have a certain qualification, I can enter a temple. It's not that if I have a certain qualification, only I can chant the holy name. So no, anyone can get aboard the boat of spiritual knowledge. So if the spiritual knowledge or spirituality itself is compared to a boat, see, this life and birth, no, the cycle of birth and death is compared to an ocean, and we are all in this ocean of the cycle of birth and death. So when one is drowning in an ocean, what does one require? One requires a boat. So Krishna has sent this boat to all of us. Krishna has sent devotees, he has sent spiritual masters, he has sent the Bhagavad Gita, he has given us the knowledge. So he has given us all opportunities to get onto the boat. The boat is there in the ocean, but we have to be willing to climb onto the boat. If we do not climb onto the boat, if we do not take advantage of these facilities that Krishna has given to us, then we will not be able to reach the shore. Then we will not be able to reach the destination. Yes. So Krishna has given us facilities. The boat is there. We are drowning in the ocean. The boat is there, but we should be willing to get onto that boat. That is what Krishna is saying here. So from our place, wherever we may be, nobody is unqualified, or no, there is nobody who can say that, oh, I cannot practice bhakti because whatever reason. There is no excuse. Then at our pace, Krishna acknowledges that not everyone will be spiritually inclined, and therefore he accommodates such people by providing them gradual pathways that are comfortable to them. So at our pace, so therefore there are different paths. We were discussing now why there are so many paths, because everybody is at a different pace. So there are different, see, there Krishna explains Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, he will explain later. And he's explaining all these paths, and at the end he says Bhakti Yoga is the best, but he is giving us different pathways. He's giving us the option, because not everybody is at the same level. And then we can access Krishna's grace. So he is providing user-friendly spirituality. Now see here, we were discussing the 5 rasas in the previous class, no? You can see here at the top, Krishna is dancing with his purest devotees as a lover. So here you can see in Golok Vrindavan, he's dancing with the gopis. So he's reciprocating to the Madhurya Ras. Then on the lotus petals, the Lord is reciprocating with the devotees as a son, as a friend, and as a master. So he's reciprocating to different devotees differently. Below left, a devotee in the material world is associating with Krishna personally by painting his transcendental form. So here, he is personally associating with Krishna. He sees the Lord as a person. We discussed there are 3 ways, or 3, the absolute truth is realized in 3 features: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahman is when one believes that God is a light. That is Brahman realization. Then Paramatma realization is when one realizes the Lord as the Paramatma, or the super soul. And when you realize God as a person, that is the Bhagavan realization. So here he's associating with the Lord because he sees God as a person, right? He's painting the Lord. The God has a form. The color of his skin is blue. He has eyes, nose, lips, mouth. So he has a form. He's not formless. So this is personal realization. Next, an impersonalist by meditation is merging with the Brahma Jyoti. So this person is an impersonalist. He believes that God is a light. He doesn't believe that God has a form. So he's an impersonalist. So he's meditating on that. The spiritual effulgence emanating from the Lord's body. So what is this Brahma Jyoti? Brahma Jyoti is nothing but the light or the effulgence that is emanating from the body of Krishna. So it's not that that light is not God. It is God, but it is not the only feature of the God. It is one of the 3 features. Then on the right, a mystic yogi is walking on the water. Here, now he has developed some yogic powers, right? See, sometimes what happens when we do Dhyana Yoga, if one perfects Dhyana Yoga, or one has advanced very much in Dhyana Yoga, then one can develop mystic powers. That's how people can walk on water, or they can transport themselves from one place to the other place just by wanting to be there. They don't have to take any transport. But these are all yogic capacities or mystic abilities, right? It will help them. If somebody is using their mystic powers to get followers, they can do it. That's why we have many people, they will do some magic tricks and they will get some followers. But these are just mystic powers which will last you. It will not take you all the way to the spiritual world. It's good as long as you're in the material world, you can get some mystic powers, you can get some followers, you can get nice donation by these magic tricks and by these mystic powers. But it is not enough to take you back to the spiritual world. Then here this person is a gross materialist. He is receiving the fruits of his labor. So this is what he wants. So he's getting the fruits of his labor. So how we surrender to Krishna, how we connect to Krishna, accordingly Krishna will reward us. If we are meditating only on the light, then that's what we are going to attain. We are going to, after, if we perfect this meditation on the Brahman effulgence, then after death, the soul will attain the Brahman effulgence. We will exist in the light. We will discuss more in detail. If we are meditating on the Paramatma, then we see the Paramatma face to face. If we are associating, or if we are practicing Bhakti Yoga and we relate to God as a person, then we can relate to God like this, as a person, right? Here we see God as a person here in these rasas here. So Krishna says, as you surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. Now coming to the second half of this statement, everyone follows my path. Everyone follows my path in all respects. Does that mean all paths lead to the same goal? Let us analyze some of the shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita. Lavina, can you read 31 and 32, please?
Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunction and who follows their teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. But those who, out of envy, disregard their teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled, and ruined in their endeavors for perfection.
So what is Krishna saying in 31 and 32? He is comparing what happens to people who follow his injunctions and what happens to people who do not follow his injunctions. Are they both getting the same thing in return? Those who follow Krishna's injunctions, Krishna says, they will become free from the bondage of fruitive actions. Those who do not follow them regularly, then what happens? Their endeavors for perfection are ruined. So are they getting the same result no matter what they do? Yes or no?
No.
No. Yes. Now let's compare other two shlokas from chapter 4. Can you read, Lavina?
Yeah. A faithful man who is observed in transcendental knowledge and who subdues his sense quickly attains a supreme spiritual peace. But ignorant and faithless person who doubts the revealed scriptures and do not attain God's consciousness. For the doubting soul, there is happiness neither in this world nor in the next.
So here Krishna is again contrasting. He is saying that if you are absorbed in transcendental knowledge, then you can attain peace. On the other side, if you doubt the scriptures, if you doubt this transcendental knowledge, then there is no happiness for you neither in this world nor the next. So again, Krishna is giving a contrast. Let's see more. 23, please.
Yeah. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotee ultimately reaches my supreme planet.
Now he is contrasting the worship, the different kinds of worship. Krishna is saying, if you worship the Devatas, you will go to the planet of the Devatas. If you worship me, you will come to me. So Krishna's Goloka is the topmost planet, right? We have discussed how the Swarga Loka is still within the 14 planetary systems that are in the material world. So if we worship the Devatas, if we worship Surya, Chandra, Indra, then we will go to the Loka where they are residing, because that's whom we worship, that's whom we are attached to, that's whom we are attracted to, and that is what we are going to get. Yes, so again he is contrasting. Next.
After attaining me, the great souls who are yogic in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, but they have attained the highest perfection. From the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attends to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again.
So what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying that once we go to his abode, we will not take birth again. We will not come back again. But for the others, then there is repeated birth and death. What is Krishna saying? All the planets in this material world, right from the highest planet. Okay, so the highest planet in the material world is Brahma Loka. Krishna is saying right from the highest planet to the lowest, Patala Loka, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But he who attains my abode, if we go to Goloka or Vaikuntha, then we never will take birth again, Krishna is saying. So again, he is contrasting. He is not saying that no matter what you do, all paths lead to the same goal. No. What we do, accordingly, we receive our destination. More. Let's read.
According to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world, one in light and one in the darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back. But when one passes in darkness, he returns.
So when a person passes away, the time when a person passes away also determines his destination. We will see in detail when we go to chapter 8. Okay, for now, we are just focusing on this particular point. Do all paths lead to the same goal? Let's read the next section.
Fools deride me when I descended in the human form. They do not know my transcendental nature as the supreme lord of all that be. Those who are thus bewildered and are attracted by demonic and atheistic views. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruitive activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. O son of Partha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of my divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. After always chanting my glories, endeavors with my determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion.
Okay, so here again, Krishna is contrasting the foolish versus the intelligent, the devotees. So Krishna is saying, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. So there are people who say that Krishna was just an ordinary human being. When he is just that he had extraordinary powers. He was very powerful, but actually he was a human being. He was not God. No, when Krishna came to the material world, he was still in the spiritual body. He is still the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because we know how he performed impossible feats, right? When he was still a baby in the cradle, he killed Putana. Which human baby can do that? So now here Krishna is saying, so those who are foolish, they get bewildered, and their hopes for liberation, their culture of knowledge, everything is defeated. On the other hand, the devotees who understand Krishna, they are fully engaged in his seva, because they are not deluded, right? Here he's talking about demons who are deluded. Here he's talking about devotees who are not deluded, the great souls. What do? They are engaged in devotional service. They are chanting his glories, and therefore they are under the protection of the divine nature. So we are under the protection of Krishna if we are not deluded, Krishna is saying. So again, he's making a contrast. Next.
Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. And those who worship me will live with me.
Again, he is contrasting. If you worship devatas, you will go where the devatas are there. If you worship your ancestors, you will go to where your ancestors are in Pitraloka. If you worship ghosts and spirits, somebody is engaging in black magic or that kind of worship, you will see some people worshipping in crematoriums also. They will do some kind of puja in crematoriums and all that. So those who worship ghosts and spirits, they will take birth among such beings. Those who worship me, Krishna says, will live with me. So we will attain Goloka or Vaikuntha. So again, Krishna is making a contrast. Next.
For those whose minds are attached to many unmanifested impersonal features of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. But those who worship me, giving up all their activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engage in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, having fixed up their mind upon me, O son of Partha, for them I am a swift delivers from the ocean of birth and death.
Here he is contrasting Jnana Yoga with Bhakti Yoga. Jnana Yoga, if you are concentrating on the impersonal feature of the Supreme, then Krishna is saying that it's difficult for, it's troublesome. Spiritual advancement is troublesome. It's difficult to focus your mind, because if God is only a light and you don't have, the thing is, when we see a murti, we can focus our concentration. When we see a deity or we see a photo, we can focus on the concentration. We get attracted to the personal features of the Lord. We see the beauty, how beautifully the deities are decorated, the flowers, right? We can engage our sense of sight in admiring the beauty of the murti. We can engage our sense of smell by smelling the flowers, the incense that is offered to the deities. We can, when we eat prasad, the food that is offered to the deities, we can engage our tongue. But if we only believe that God is a light, then it's difficult to focus, it's difficult to concentrate. How are we going to engage our senses in the service of the Lord? So it is difficult to advance that way. Krishna is saying in this 12.5 shloka. But on the other hand, when we engage in Bhakti Yoga, then Krishna is saying, for such people, I'm the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So again, Krishna is making a contrast. He is not saying all paths lead to the same goal. This is not what Krishna's message is in the Bhagavad Gita. Clearly, we've seen through all these shlokas how Krishna contrasts, right? More.
Those situated in the mode of goodness gradually go upward to the higher planet. Those in the mode of passion live on the earthly planet, and those in the abominable mode of ignorance go to the hellish world.
So again, he's saying, if you're in the Sattva Guna, you will live in the higher planetary systems. If you're in the Rajoguna, mode of passion, you live on the earthly planets. And if you're in the mode of ignorance, you go down to the hellish planets.
Hellish planet. Yeah.
Next.
The endeavor transcendentalists who are situated in the self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try.
Next.
He who discards spiritual injunction and acts according to his own whim attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. One should therefore understand what is duty and what is not duty by the regulation of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulation, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated.
Next.
If we become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditional life by my grace. If, however, you do not work in such consciousness, but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
So see, either we are Krishna conscious or we are Maya conscious. There is no third option. Either we are in light or we are in darkness, right? There is no in-between thing. If you're not in light, you're in darkness. So if you're not Krishna conscious, you are Maya conscious. So what is Krishna saying here in this 18th chapter? He's saying that if you are conscious of me, if you're Krishna conscious, then you will pass over the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. But if you are not Krishna conscious, but you're acting through false ego, that means you're Maya conscious, then Krishna says you will be lost. So here, and then here previously in 16th chapter, we see how he is contrasting one who follows the Shastra and one who does not follow the Shastra. Their destination also is different. And here he's talking about how a self-realized soul can see things clearly, see the absolute truth, see the truth clearly, and how one is not self-realized, he cannot see what is happening. So they will just talk about atheism, God does not exist, the world came into existence because of a Big Bang theory, everything happened by chance, right? But see, Prabhupada would always say that it's okay, there may be a scientific explanation behind, okay, there is a law of gravity that exists that pulls everything down, right? We throw something, we throw a ball in the air, it comes down because there is a gravity. Now, Prabhupada would say, okay, there is the science behind it, but who put it in place? Who has set up this thing that the gravity should exist? Who has set up that the planet should be orbiting around the sun? Who has set this whole thing up? Obviously, there has to be someone behind it. If we take even an ordinary thing, now just take a pen that we use, can we say that this pen has come into existence on its own? Even a pen, even a small sharpener or a rubber, it has come into existence because somebody has made it. I may not personally know the person who has made the pen, right? But just because a pen is there, it means somebody has made the pen. So how can we say that this whole cosmic manifestation, these planets, the sun, the moon, all of them have come into existence on their own? There has to be someone who has a person who's behind all that. Yes, like that. Okay. Now coming back to our point, some people claim that the Bhagavad Gita teaches all paths lead to the same goal. However, Krishna never says directly anything close to this. So we have seen the evidence now in the previous 3 pages, different shlokas where Krishna does not actually say that. That is not the message of Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. This idea contradicts many other clear Gita statements. To claim that this is derived from the Bhagavad Gita is either mere mental speculation. So people are just mentally speculating that, oh, Gita mein ye likha hai. Actually, those people have probably never read the Gita and never read the Gita scrutinizingly to actually understand Krishna's message. Or unnecessary linguistic maneuvering, which means they say that Krishna said this, but actually he meant this. That is called linguistic maneuvering. You're trying to twist the statements of Krishna, but this is not Krishna's message. The words, everyone follows my path. What does it actually mean? It means all people are on my path. Now, what does that mean? It means everything is under the jurisdiction of Krishna. Nothing can exist independent of him. So one may go to Swarga Loka, or one may go to Patala Loka or Naraka Loka, or one may be on the earthly planetary systems. Krishna is saying everyone is on my path means everything is under my jurisdiction. It's not that the hellish planets are beyond my control. No. All people, everyone follows my path means everything is under the jurisdiction of Krishna. Everything is under the jurisdiction of God. Nothing can exist independent from God. This is what that line actually means. See, when Arjuna requested Krishna to show him the universal form. In that universal form, which we will see in chapter 11, Krishna shows everything that can exist in the universe. All the devatas, all the planetary systems, everything Arjuna saw in that universal form. That universal form was so huge that in any direction Arjuna would see, he would only see the universal form. He could not see the sky. And anyway, he was only seeing the universal form. So everything is there within that universal form. So there is nothing that can exist independent from Krishna. Nothing is beyond the jurisdiction of Krishna. This is what this line means. Now let's try to understand a little bit more. This all paths lead to the same goal claim has two fatal problems. So logically speaking, this claim makes the Gita itself redundant. Here is how. Krishna speaks the Gita to resolve Arjuna's dilemma about the right thing to do. So Arjuna is bewildered. He doesn't know, should I fight or should I not fight? Yes. So in order to resolve that problem of Arjuna, Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita. If whatever Arjuna does, he will still attain the same goal. Why does Krishna need to speak the Gita? If all paths lead to the same goal, if whether Arjuna fights or he does not fight is going to lead him to the same goal, then why is Arjuna bewildered? And why does Krishna have to speak the Bhagavad Gita? Even more fundamentally, why does Arjuna even have a dilemma? If we come to a fork and knew that both roads ahead would take us to the same place, we wouldn't get too worked up about which road to choose, isn't it? Now, this man here, if any of these paths are going to take him to his destination, why will he have to make a choice? Yes, if we have to travel to Bombay, I have to take a flight that will take me to Bombay. Any flight that I take, will it take me to Bombay? No, different flights have different destinations. So depending on where I want to go, I have to take the flight accordingly, isn't it? So all paths do not lead to the same goal. Then why does Arjuna get so worked up? Suppose Arjuna didn't know about this claim at the start of the Gita and knew of this only when Krishna spoke verse 4.11, which means, now let's say that, okay, Arjuna was not aware that all paths lead to the same goal. Now only, when Krishna speaks 4.11 and Krishna says, everyone follows my path. So if one understands that actually this line, everyone follows my path in all respects, means that all paths lead to the same goal. Let's say Arjuna came to know about this only now. Then also, why did Arjuna continue to hear this complex philosophy afterwards, up till chapter 18? Why did it go on? So this does not mean that all paths lead to the same goal. So let's see this line again. Suppose Arjuna didn't know about this claim at the start of the Gita and knew of this only when Krishna spoke verse 4.11. Why did Arjuna continue to hear Gita's complex philosophy for 14 more chapters? Evidently because he knew that different choices will lead to different consequences. Therefore, he wanted Krishna's guidance so that he could choose wisely. So logically speaking, also we see how all paths do not lead to the same goal. Because if that was the case, then Arjuna would not be in a dilemma and Krishna would have not spoken the Bhagavad Gita. If we say all paths lead to the same goal, then what is the meaning of having this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita to guide us in the right path? Because anyway, all paths lead to the same goal. So then why do we need Shastra? Why do we need Guru? To show us the right path, right? Because all paths do not lead to the same goal. Now, contextually, what happens if we apply this idea to Arjuna's battlefield context and specifically to his dilemma to fight or not? Do both choices lead to the same result? Certainly not. Neither for Arjuna personally, nor for society at large. Now let's see for Arjuna personally. Arjuna's immediate fate would be different. If he does not fight, he will be killed or left a pauper because now he does not have the kingdom. Even if he does not fight and he's not killed also, he will have to live as a beggar because he has no kingdom. What is he going to do? On the other hand, if he fights and he wins, he will reign in royal prosperity because he belongs to the royal family, right? So if Arjuna's fate is different. If he fights, he has a different fate. If he does not fight, he has a different fate. Now, what about the society's fate? If Arjuna fights and the Pandavas win, the virtuous Yudhishthir will become the king and lead the kingdom to virtue and spirituality. Because the king is spiritual, the king is virtuous, he will lead his followers, his subjects also to virtue and spirituality. On the other hand, if Arjuna does not fight and the Pandavas lose, Duryodhan will be crowned king and use the kingdom for his self-centered indulgence. So all Duryodhana is going to be worried about that. How can I gratify my senses? He's not going to be worried about virtue and spirituality of his subjects. So even the society's fate is not the same if whatever path Arjuna will choose. If Arjuna chooses to fight, the society has a different fate. If Arjuna chooses not to fight, the society has a different fate. Clearly, these results are hugely different. So in a nutshell, to summarize, all paths lead to the same goal. This claim makes Krishna's words redundant and the catastrophic Kurukshetra battle inconsequential. It is not the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita. So all paths do not lead to the same goal. If we behave well, we get a good result. If we misbehave, we will get a bad result. That is what is the law of karma. See, coming back to this point that the absolute truth can be realized in three features: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Brahman is when we believe God is a light. Paramatma is when we believe God is a Paramatma. He is residing in the heart as a super soul. And Bhagavan is when we realize God as a person. God is a person like you and me. If you really truly believe that God is a person, then you are spiritually more advanced than 99% of the world population. Now, anyway, coming back to Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, all three are features of the Supreme Lord. It's not that Brahman is different or Paramatma is different and different from Krishna. They are also, Krishna is a person. At the same time, he's also residing in our hearts as a Paramatma. At the same time, he's also the Brahman effulgence, because the light coming from Krishna's body is the Brahman effulgence. Now, what happens? So, understanding of the Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan realizations. So when we look at the mountains from a distance, now this is what we may see, right? But when we go closer, when we walk further towards a mountain, we will be able to see something like this. We will be able to see now the grass and the trees that are growing on the mountains. And when we go even more closer, let's say we are now at the foot of the mountains or we are on the mountain itself, we can actually see the people and the houses and the businesses that are going on in that mountain area. So this is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan realization. It's the same object, but how far are we from that object? That determines our realization of that object. See, now this person here, this person, he is meditating on the Brahman effulgence. So his destination is what? He will be existing in the light. If he perfects his realization of the Brahman effulgence, he will exist in the light. So the spirit soul attains that light and exists in the light as an individual. Because remember, the soul never dies. The soul never leaves its individuality. The soul always maintains its individuality. So it's not that you have merged in the light and now you cannot distinguish. No, you are there. Just like how the seeds, remember the watermelon example? The seeds are one with the watermelon, but still the seeds, each seed is distinct. You can distinguish, right? Individuality of the seed is maintained, although the seed is one with the fruit. In the same way, the souls are existing, but they are maintaining their individuality in that light. It's not that they have lost their individuality. They have merged. It's not that. So this person attains this. Now, this person here, he is meditating on the Paramatma, right? And so what is he going to attain? He is going to attain this realization. If he perfects his meditation here on the Paramatma, then his destination is what? He can actually see the Paramatma face to face. This is what happened with Narada Muni. Narada, in his previous life, before he became the great sage Narada Muni, he was the son of a maid servant. And his father had passed away very early, and his mother, he was working as a maid servant, and she would wash the dishes of the sages. And Narada Muni would, as a small child, at that time he was not Narada Muni, as a small child of a maid servant, he would eat the remnants of the food that was left over by the sages. Now, because he took the remnants of the great sages, great transcendentalist, he was becoming spiritually advanced even though he was a small child. And then his mother also passed away. His mother also passed away. Now he was all alone. Now in a usual situation, if you see a small child who doesn't have a father, and now even his mother passed away, such a child will be totally lost, isn't it? He will not know how to deal with his life situation. But because this small child had become advanced, spiritually advanced, by eating the remnants of those great sages, he actually went into meditation and he meditated on the Paramatma, and he perfected his meditation to such an extent that actually the Paramatma was now in front of him. He could, right now, we cannot see the Paramatma, right? He is there in our hearts, but we cannot see him. But the Paramatma will manifest in front of our eyes in the Paramatma realization. Now here, this person is meditating on the personal feature of the Lord. So he is meditating on Radha, Krishna and Golok. So he is meditating on the personal feature. And therefore, this is what his destination is. He is there in the spiritual world, and he is actually personally embraced by Krishna. And all these people here are the other residents of Goloka. The Shastra describes how when we attain the spiritual world, Krishna welcomes you back. He embraces you, and Krishna says, "Where have you been, my dear friend? I've been waiting for you for so long," Krishna says. And all these other residents also come to welcome you back. So you see, the destination is not the same. How do you feel existing in the light? And how do you feel by looking at the Lord in front of you? And how do you feel when you're personally embraced by the Lord? Is the feeling the same? The feeling is much more intimate in this realization when you are being personally embraced by the Lord. Now let's say somebody has attained the Brahman realization. Now he's existing in the light. What does he attain? What does he get? He gets a lot of peace, right? There is no more hankering, and he's very, very peaceful. But how long can you exist in the light, and how long can you enjoy that peace? Because again, the soul by nature is active, and the soul needs to be engaged in some activity. So there comes a point when this person who's attained the Brahman realization, he gets bored. He gets bored of existing in the light, and therefore he falls down again. He again takes birth, because now at a point, he comes to a point where he's just, because you're just existing in the light, that's it. There is nothing to do. So therefore this person gets bored, and then he comes back. And then he will meditate on the Paramatma. Now what happens when he sees the Paramatma face to face? Then this Paramatma is not going to be there in front of him eternally. The Paramatma from the Lord comes in front of you, you can see, and then disappears. That's what happened with Narada Muni. If you read the story of Narada Muni from the Bhagavatam, you will see. After that, he was hankering, this child, Narada, he was hankering to see that form again. He wants to see that form again. He saw it once, so beautiful, so attractive, but now the form has disappeared. He wants to see him again. So now again he meditates, again he undergoes sadhana, and then he goes for Brahman realization, where now he can eternally reside as one of Krishna's associates in Goloka or in Vaikuntha with Lord Vishnu in the four-handed form. So you see how one progresses from Brahman realization to Paramatma realization to Bhagavan realization. But that does not mean that we cannot immediately take to Bhakti Yoga. See, the Jnana yogis, they attain Brahman realization. The Dhyana yogis, they attain the Paramatma realization. And the Bhakti yogis, they attain the Bhagavan realization. So that does not mean that first we have to do Jnana yoga, then we have to do Dhyana yoga, and then only we can do Bhakti yoga. No, we can directly do Bhakti yoga and directly attain the Bhagavan realization. See here. What is the destination of a sinful soul versus the destination of a pious soul? A sinful soul, again coming back to the same point, all paths do not lead to the same goal. Let's say somebody has led the path of a very sinful life. At the time of death, then the Yamadutas come to take him. Where do they take him? To the court of Yamaraj. Here you can see Yamaraj is on the throne, and the sinful soul is here, and he's being tried by Yamaraj. And Yamaraj tells him, you did this, did this, did this, did this, did this. And there are 13 witnesses. Bhagavatam describes 13 witnesses who stand witness to all your activities. So you cannot speak lies. You cannot say, I did not do this, because there are 13 witnesses. Okay, the sun, the moon, the air, the directions. Like that, there are 13 witnesses. And the most important witness of the 13 is the Paramatma, because the Paramatma was there with you all throughout whatever you did. Right? So, people, when they steal, the robbers, they look left, right, nobody's watching and they will rob. But they don't know that the Paramatma is there and he's watching you continuously 24/7, right? So the Paramatma is the most important of those 13 witnesses. So these 13 witnesses, they stand testimony that yes, he did this. Yes, he did this. Yes, he did this. Okay. And then then Yamaraj gives his verdict. This is what you have to go. Then hellish life. So he suffers in hell. Other contrast, if one has led a life of devotion, of bhakti, then the Vishnu Dutas come to take him on a celestial airplane. So you can see this person here. He is the pious soul, and the Vishnu Dutas are taking him with all respect. This person is blowing his conch, this Vishnu Duta is taking him, holding his hand, and with all respect, they sing your glories. Okay, the Bhagavatam describes how the Vishnu Dutas will sing your glories. They mount you on that celestial airplane and they take you to the spiritual world with all respect. And there in the spiritual world, you are personally embraced by Krishna. You are welcomed back by Krishna. So all paths do not lead to the same goal. The destination is different. Now this picture, if you just can visualize, you close your eyes and visualize yourself being hugged by Krishna. And then you think about all the things that are coming in the way of your spiritual advancement. Somebody may be addicted to alcohol. Somebody may enjoy cigarettes. Somebody may be addicted to tea, coffee. Somebody may be addicted to meat eating. But just think about any bad habit that is something that's coming in the way of your spiritual progress. And then you visualize, on the other hand, you visualize yourself being embraced by Krishna. And then you think, is that cup of alcohol worth the price paying for not getting this embrace? Then you will realize that that particular thing that I'm addicted to, if I give it up, it's a very, very small price I have to pay to be embraced by Krishna like this. People are crazy after superstars, after sports people. They just want to have one glance of the person. And if they are embraced by the superstar or by the sportsman, they feel very happy. But who can be a greater star than Krishna? Who can be a greater star than Krishna? So can you imagine the feeling of you being personally embraced by Krishna? This is one photo. Actually, personally, this is my favorite photo. Sometimes when I feel too worked up with some services, or there are too many things I'm trying to balance, material life, spiritual life, then I just take my time out, I close my eyes and I visualize this photo, and then I say, okay, everything is good, because if this is my destiny, then everything else is a very tiny, small, insignificant price to pay for this. So coming back to the Brahman effulgence, is God some personal light or energy, or is he a person? Now, a well-managed organization is Microsoft. It has operations all around the world. But behind all that, there is a person who is running and managing it. It's not that it is being run and managed on its own by chance. No, there is a person who is running and managing that multinational organization. So who is the person behind the gigantic manifestation? So we conclude it is Krishna. Now one may say, why only Krishna? There are so many gods. Why should I only say Krishna consciousness? So let us see. Evidence. First, we see what Krishna himself speaks. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 8, I am the source of all spiritual and material world. Everything emanates from me. Krishna says everything is coming from me. When he says everything, it means everything. All the spiritual world, all of the material world, and all the living entities, all the devatas, the ants, Lord Brahma, everything emanates from me, Krishna says. Then Krishna says in chapter 10 again, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me. So Krishna is saying there is no moving nor any non-moving entity that can exist without me. He is the seed of all existences. Everything that exists has come into existence because of that seed called Krishna. So Krishna is saying, I'm the generating seed of all existences. Then Krishna says in chapter 9, the material existence is working under my direction, Krishna says. So all this material nature is working under the jurisdiction of Krishna. O son of Kunti, and it is moving, it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So creation and destruction is also taking place because of Krishna's will, under Krishna's direction. We are not saying this. ISKCON is not saying this. Prabhupada is not saying this, right? Krishna himself is saying this. We are only repeating what Krishna has said. Nobody else has declared what Krishna has declared. No other devata has declared what Krishna has declared. Then Krishna says, the whole cosmic order is under me. Under my will, it is automatically manifested again and again. And under my will, it is annihilated at the end. So same thing. Krishna is saying creation and destruction happens because of the will of Krishna. Krishna says, I enter into each planet and by my energy, they stay in orbit. So the planets are in their orbits because of Krishna's energy. It's not by chance. Okay. Krishna says, I become the moon and supply the juice of life to all vegetables. So the vegetables, the fruits, they have a juice, right? They have moisture content. That's why when we extract juice from vegetables, we get the vegetable juice or we get fruit juice. So that juice is there in those fruits and vegetables because the moon is supplying it. And Krishna says, I become the moon and supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Krishna says that know that all beautiful, glorious and mighty creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. We may go on a world tour and we enjoy the beauty of nature. No, we look at the mountains or valleys and lakes and oh, we say this is so beautiful. But Krishna says that all the beautiful, glorious creations are only a spark, just a spark of the splendor of Krishna. So just imagine. Now, Lord Krishna not only claimed to be God, it's not that Krishna only spoke, but he even proved what he spoke. He not only talked, but he walked the talk. How did he prove what he spoke? He proved it by showing the universal form or the Virat Roop. No other Devata, no other God has shown the Vishwaroop. No other God has shown the universal form. And Krishna showed the universal form thrice. Once to Yashoda, when Yashoda told him that you're eating dirt, open your mouth, I want to see if you've eaten dirt or no. And that time Yashoda sees all the universes in the mouth of Krishna. And once more again to Yashoda, if you read the Krishna book also, you will see how once Krishna, once Yashoda again saw the universal form in Krishna's mouth after Krishna had had his milk. Yashoda saw in the mouth of Krishna the entire cosmic manifestation. And third time, he showed him this universal form to Arjuna. Now, the universal form he showed to Arjuna and the universal form he showed to Yashoda, there is one difference. What he showed to Arjuna was also the Kala Roop. And by seeing that Kala Roop, Arjuna was completely bewildered. But the universal form that Yashoda saw, Yashoda did not see the Kala Roop. But we will discuss this in detail when we go to chapter 11. Okay. So here you can see the universal form. You can see here Krishna has shown all the demigods, everything that exists in creation. Wherever Arjuna was seeing, he was only seeing the universal form. He was not able to see anything beyond. He was not able to see the sky because the universal form was covering everything. So Krishna not only talked, but he walked the talk. Now let's come to other personalities. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is a supreme Godhead. He has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, and he's a prime cause of all causes. Who says this? Lord Brahma himself says this. This is from the Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita, a book that was, is a scripture that was spoken by Lord Brahma himself. Okay, and there Lord Brahma is offering these prayers to Lord Krishna, and Lord Brahma is saying he has an eternal blissful spiritual body, Satchitananda Vigraha. He is the origin of all. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. This is the shloka. Sarva Karana Karanam. He is the prime cause of all causes. So Brahma himself is saying that Krishna has no other origin but himself. So everything has come from Krishna. What Krishna declared, everything is coming from me. I am the seed giving father. The same thing Lord Brahma also is saying, that Krishna is the origin of all. He has no other origin. Krishna has no origin. Krishna has not come from anyone. Okay, but everyone has come from Krishna. So Brahma himself is praying this. And Lord Brahma is the most intelligent living entity in the universe. He is at the topmost planet of the universe, and he is the most intelligent living entity. And he also offers this in his prayers in the Brahma Samhita. Then other great sages also confirm Krishna's supremacy. See, Arjuna tells Krishna in chapter 10, all the great sages like Narada, Ashita, Devala, Vyasa proclaim this of you, and now you yourself are declaring it to me. What? That you are the primal God, transcendental and original, and you are the unborn, all-pervading beauty. So even other great sages have established Krishna's supremacy. Now great acharyas like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, the other acharyas from other sampradayas also have confirmed that that supreme person is none other than Krishna. Now Shankaracharya actually is the chief exponent of the Mayavad philosophy. And he also prayed. What did he say? He says, Ekam Shastra Devaki Putra Gitam. There is only one scripture, the song of the son of Devaki. Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva. There is only one God, the son of Devaki. Eko Mantras Tasya Namani Yani. There is only one mantra, the name of the son of Devaki. Karmapi Ekam Tasya Devasya Seva. There is only one virtuous work. What is that one virtuous work? Dedicated service to the son of Devaki. So this is Shankaracharya. Now, just like design engineers and Bill Gates at Microsoft will best know about their latest. Now, who knows their product better than the person who has made the product? Who knows about the book than the author of the book, isn't it? So like that, the compiler of all the Vedic literatures, Vyasadeva, he is the one who has put everything into writing. So who can know best who is the Supreme Lord? Because he's the one who's put all the Shastras into writing. So he knows best. So what does Vyasadeva say? Vyasadeva, he has composed Vedas, Upanishads, Puranas, Mahabharata, and the Vedanta Sutras. So after he composed 4 Vedas, 18 major, there are 18 major Puranas, but at this point he had composed 17 Puranas, 17 major Puranas, 108 Upanishads, Itihasa like the Mahabharata and the Vedanta Sutras. He composed all this. And then he was feeling incomplete. He was feeling that something is missing. He was not feeling satisfied. He was not feeling thrilled and exhilarated as he would feel after having composed so much of Shastra, right? So he had the doubt, why is it that I'm feeling incomplete? Why do I feel that something is missing? So what does a disciple do? When a disciple is in doubt, he should consult with his spiritual master. So Vyasadeva consulted with his spiritual master, Narada Muni. Why is it that I'm feeling incomplete? And that time, Narada Muni told him to compose the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Bhagavatam is the final masterpiece that Vyasadeva composed. And what does he say in this Srimad Bhagavatam? In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva mentions various incarnations of the Supreme Lord. We mentioned the 6 kinds of incarnation. So all these incarnations are there in the Bhagavatam. It's already there. Bhagavatam was composed some 5,000 years ago but it already predicted the appearance of Buddha and also has already predicted the appearance of Kalki. So Nrsimhadev, Vamana, all these incarnations, Kurma, Buddha, Parashuram, Varaha, Krishna and Balaram, Lord Ramachandra, all these are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And after he mentions all these incarnations, then Vyasadeva writes in first canto, Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This line, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, this is called as a mission statement of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the most important line of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So what does this verse mean? Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. All of the above mentioned incarnations. So Vyasadeva has mentioned all the incarnations, and then he says all of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Shri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. So this is Vyasadeva himself making the statement in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then who are the Devatas? One may ask, who are the Devatas? So just as how in every country there is only one president and many ministers, one country can have only one president. One country cannot have two presidents, right? Only one can be right there on the top, one president. But the president has many ministers. There is a labor minister, there is a foreign affairs minister, there is a finance minister, there is a home minister. So there are many ministers. In the same way, the Devatas are the administrators of the universe. They are the empowered administrators of material affairs. So we know Lord Shiva is in charge of the mode of ignorance. Lord Brahma is in charge of the mode of passion. Lord Vishnu is in charge of the mode of goodness. We know Agni Dev is fire. Varun Dev is in charge of the waters, the oceans. Then we have Lord Indra, who is the king of the Devatas. So like that, or Surya Dev, the sun, or Chandra Dev, the moon. So like that, all these different Devatas are in charge of the different affairs. They are the administrators of the universe. Now let's compare the different parts. Sanatana Dharma is coming from the dawn of creation, because at the time of creation, Lord Krishna spoke 4 verses. They are called as the 4 nutshell verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's all that Lord Brahma requires to understand all the Vedic knowledge, because he's supremely intelligent. He's the most intelligent living entity. So Sanatana Dharma is coming from the dawn of creation. Then Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Arjuna some 5,000 years back. Buddhism is some 2,500 years old. Christianity some 2,000 years old. And Islam some 1,300 years old. Now, if one is following a bona fide religion, now what is a bona fide religion? Any bona fide religion will teach you to love God. A religion that teaches you to love anything other than God, sense gratification, or if the guru is saying you love me, you serve me, you worship me, I am God. If somebody says I am God, or if somebody's a religion is teaching you anything other than to love God, that religion is a bogus religion. Okay, any genuine religion will teach you how to love God. So if you're following a bona fide religion, you are moving towards Krishna. But if you are following a bogus religion, then eternally you are running in the opposite direction, because you are moving away from Krishna. Okay, eternally you are in the opposite direction until you come across a bona fide guru who is going to show you, no, you have to surrender to Krishna. You don't have to surrender to any other bogus person. You don't have to surrender to your senses. You don't have to surrender to money, wealth, fame. No, you have to surrender to Krishna. So like that, if you're following any bona fide religion, at least you're moving in the direction of Krishna. One may be meditating on Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagavan, but you are moving towards Krishna. As we discussed, no, from the Brahman effulgence, then the person gets bored, then he comes back, then he has a Paramatma realization, then he wants to see the Lord again, then he will go for Bhagavan realization. But at least he's moving towards the Lord. Okay, but if we are not surrendering to the Lord, we are actually following a bogus guru, then we are moving in the opposite direction. Then eternally we will be only moving in the opposite direction until we surrender to Guru and Krishna. Now, still, we are on the path to Krishna, but there may be someone who's closer to the goal and someone who's far away from the goal. So if you're following Sanatan Dharma, you are closest to the goal. Prabhupada said that if you chant 16 rounds, minimum of 16 rounds every day, and follow the 4 regulative principles, you can go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime. No more lifetimes. Okay, no more you have to wait to take birth again. So Sanatan Dharma, if you follow Sanatan Dharma, then you are closest to the goal. Other religions, other bona fide religions are also taking you towards Krishna, but because the surrender is less, right, you are further away from the goal. It's going to take you more lifetimes. It will take you more cycles of birth and death. It's not a bogus religion, it is a bona fide religion, but because the level of surrender is less, says not everybody tells you to give up onion and garlic. Not everyone tells. There are people who will accept disciples even though they are eating meat, for example. Okay, so actually in Sanatan Dharma you have to be really surrendered. You have to be really surrendered. No onion, garlic, no tea, coffee. So you have to be, there is no cheap initiation. There is no cheap initiation in Sanatan Dharma. Okay. Therefore, you are closest to the goal because you are fully prepared to live a life of purity. If you are not willing to surrender, you are still holding on to some habits, some bad habits, then it will take more lifetimes. It will take more lifetimes. So this question you have to ask yourself. See, for example, when I was coming into Krishna consciousness, I was initially I was very much addicted to tea. I could not give up my cup of tea. My cup of tea in the morning, if I would not have, I would get a headache, right? So I was thinking that how am I going to give up this tea? But then one day I thought that this cup of tea is coming in the way of me getting a guru, is coming in the way of me getting Krishna. So is that cup of tea that important? What is more important? So then, like that, you see what is coming in your way, what is the difficulty for you, what is difficult for you to overcome, and then you pray. First thing is to desire. You first desire, I want to give up this habit. No, everything begins with you first desire. So when you desire, you pray to the Lord, please help me give up this habit, because old habits die hard. Then you pray to the Lord, and then the Lord will reciprocate to your prayers. So first thing is I have to accept that yes, this is a bad habit. Yes, this habit is coming in the way of my spiritual advancement. So therefore, my dear Lord Krishna, please help me get over this obstacle. So when you pray with all sincerity, definitely the Lord will reciprocate. Why will he not reciprocate? Now one may say, why did God create so many religions? Why there are different names, forms, worship, rituals of God? Is there any path that synthesizes all these religions? Is there any one ultimate goal behind all these religions? So why are there different names and different rituals and different worships? Why there are so many isms? No, Buddhism, Sikhism, Hinduism. Why there are so many isms? So why there are so many isms is because everyone is equal in God's eyes, but God is not equal in everyone's eyes. God is not equal in everyone's eyes. So user-friendly approach. So see, there are different scriptures for different audiences. Just as how depending on the age of the student, if a student is in first grade, he will be taught a certain level of mathematics. If the person is in 10th grade, he will be taught more mathematics than he was taught in the first grade. And when you're in the university, then you are taught a different grade of mathematics. So depending on what is the age of the child, that child is taught that level of mathematics. So depending on which level are we situated spiritually, therefore we have different scriptures for different audiences. Different religions, same message. See, Jesus Christ, he said in the Bible, there is much that I have to tell you, but you cannot bear it now. So Jesus Christ himself says that there is a lot more that he can teach, but he did not teach everything because the audience was not ready to take that knowledge. So he says, I'm not going to say it because you cannot bear it now, because that was the level of understanding of the people he was preaching to at that time. Now, what does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna says, I shall now declare unto you in full this knowledge. So Krishna has declared everything. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself says that this knowledge is full. So there is nothing that Krishna has not revealed in the Bhagavad Gita. Other scriptures have not revealed everything, again because of the audience that they were preaching to at that particular time. So when the messengers of God come, Jesus Christ never said that he is God. He always said that he is the Son of God. Prophet Muhammad never said that he is God. He always said that he is a messenger of God. So, and Krishna said, I am God. So there is no contradiction. There is no contradiction at all. People are fighting unnecessarily, isn't it? In the name of religion. But we see how other religions compared to what Bhagavad Gita has spoken is because others have taught according to time, place, and circumstances. What you have in a pocket dictionary and what you have in a Chambers dictionary is not the same. So Sanatana Dharma is like a Chambers dictionary and other religions are like the pocket dictionary. So there's nothing wrong. The information that a pocket dictionary gives you is not wrong. It's the same. The meanings, the explanations that are given in a pocket dictionary are correct. Yes, but it is not complete. That's all. So in Sanatana Dharma, all information is available. See, in Sanatana Dharma, we know the name of God. We know the color of his skin. We even know the color of his dhoti. We even know whom is he associating with. We know about his activities. But in other paths, this information is not there. Any other path, do they tell you the clothes, what color it is of the Lord? You don't have that information available. But Sanatana Dharma, every single detail is there. So in fact, we have the information that Krishna is blue, but what blue? Or we say Krishna is black, but what black? We can bring in so many shades of blue, so many shades. We can say bluish black, blackish blue, right? So we can bring in so many shades. But the Acharyas explained that the color of Krishna's skin is the color of the dark cloud just before it rains. You know, when it's going to rain when it's all cloudy, but the color of that cloud just before the rain pours down, that is the color of Krishna's skin, the Acharyas explain. So into that detail explanation we have, because if Krishna is bluish black, then there are so many shades of bluish black that can exist, isn't it? So in Sanatana Dharma, all details are available. In others, not full detail is available because they choose to preach according to time, place, and circumstances. So there are different paths, one goal. Ultimately, we have to come to the level of loving God. But people on different paths are not realizing different things. They all realize different degrees and aspects of Krishna. So as we said, Brahman effulgence is one aspect of Krishna, Paramatma is another aspect. So, but it's all still aspects of Krishna, but different degrees and aspects of Krishna. Just as how seven blind men or six blind men are exploring this elephant, they are all exploring the same animal, the same elephant, but they are seeing differently. So the one at the ear says it's a fan, the one at the tusk says it's a spear. So actually it's all the same degrees and aspects of Krishna, but actually they're all exploring the same elephant. So the Lord offers his embrace at our pace. So he is not rushing us. He's sending messengers of God. He's sending the Son of God at different times, different places to preach according to time, place, and circumstances. So yes, he's offering us his embrace, but at our pace. Now let's, so does it mean that the Lord's grace can be accessed only when Krishna is personally present on the planet? What about the Murtis? What about the deities? What about that? What is the science behind deity worship? Can the Lord reciprocate even through a deity? Are we worshipping stone or are we worshipping God? Let us see a video by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj.
God is unlimited and independent. To say he cannot appear in the deity form is to limit him. Legitimate deity worship, according to the Vedas, is a science in which the Lord is called with devotional rites to appear in designated forms. Everything emanates from the Lord. All material elements are the Lord's energy. By His will, He may choose to appear in His own energy as a deity to help us focus our minds and senses in loving servitude. Just as electricity manifests in a light bulb to radiate light, so God can permeate the deity with His presence. Electricity is invisible to the naked eye, and the bulb by itself gives light only when the electrical energy infuses the bulb with its presence. Then we can see and feel the light. In a similar way, the Lord may appear in the tangible form of a deity to help us see and feel His presence and reciprocate with our love.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti uparutam ashnami prayatatmanaha.
So what does Maharaj explain? He is saying that God cannot, there's nothing that God cannot do. So if you say that by worshipping the Lord in a deity, you're limiting the God, actually that statement is false, because you're limiting the Lord by saying that He cannot reciprocate from a deity, because the Lord can do anything. Right? He's omnipotent. He's supremely powerful. And the Lord agrees to be worshipped in the form of the deity. Why? Because we are not qualified to see Him personally. So it is His mercy. Okay, you are not qualified. You are so rotten. You are so fallen. You cannot see me personally. All right. I will accept your worship in the form of the deity. I will accept your worship in the form of this murti. Whatever worship you do to this murti, whatever you offer to the murti to eat, I will accept it. So it is Krishna's causeless mercy that He's accepting our worship in the form of murti, because murti we can see, right? We cannot see Him personally, not yet. We are not yet qualified for that. So that is the Lord's mercy upon us. And He also gives the example of how the light bulb is illuminated by electricity. We cannot see electricity, but we can see the light. Like that, we cannot see God, but we can see the murti. So just as how electricity illuminates the light bulb, the Lord can illuminate the murti. In the next class, we will see some stories where the deity has reciprocated, where the murtis have reciprocated to the worship of their devotees. So this we'll see in the next class if Krishna so permits. Till then, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. Thank you, Mataji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Jai Jai Pataka Maharaj ki jai. Jai Sri Ram Mataji ki jai. Sri Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Mataji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank
Do
you.
you have any questions? Okay, so since there are no questions, see you all next week. Till then, have a nice week in Krishna consciousness. Vancha kalpa taruvascha kripa sindhu vyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
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 Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Rama.
Krishna.